Hi everyone, thanks for joining me today. I have a jam-packed video for you, so let's get right into it. Today we're going to be going over engraving, cutting, painting, some designing, a whole bunch of good stuff. I have my little scrap piece all ready to go, magnets holding it onto my window grate, and as you can see I have a little bit of metal, so it's raised up off of the surface. So the first thing I'm going to do, of course, is focus my laser. So that's my measurement tool. Now I keep it to the right hand side because I slide a lot of the materials from front to back. So this way my little measuring tool is out of the way because I have the Z-axis adjuster there. So my laser doesn't go exactly to where yours would go if you didn't have a Z height adjuster. So I was just showing you, if you didn't have the limit switches like I do, you would manually home the machine before turning it on. With mine, I turn it on and it goes right to the home machine. So I had already picked the COM3. I've connected my machine. I'm opening up my file now. So my first one I'm going to be engraving. It's going to be black and white. So the sliders here, you can play with the sliders. Now if you're dealing with grayscale, photos or anything like that, you would turn that black and white off. And we're going to do it in line-to-line tracing. Now I found the 1900 and dynamic power. So I'm just going to switch my minimum laser power to 5%, my maximum to 85%. And I'm going to auto size that because I plan on engraving and cutting. So both files have to be the same size. So of course I always home my machine before I start, so it's at the absolute 0. Here I am framing just to make sure that it's inside my material. So I will home it again and then I will press play and I am starting to engrave. So I'm just going to show you quickly how I designed it, and you can find lots of images. If you right click on your mouse and open the image in a new window and hit print screen on your keyboard, you're able to paste this into the programs that you're using. So you don't have to right click and save everything. You can just paste it into a lot of the programs. So right now this is reading it as an image and I'm going to trace it into vector art so I'm able to edit it. So right now I've traced it. I'm going to delete some things here. And I've already made up a size, of course, of my earrings. That's my file right there that I've already got ready. I just wanted to quickly show you what I've done here though. So I've got the size of the earrings that I like, and I'm just going to take that artwork in there, place it, center. The holes I like for the earrings, the sizes are like 0.125. I find that works pretty good with the hardware. I'm just going to take the lettering, place that over top as well. And I'm going to bring it to the front for the order. Now I use a lot of hotkeys, so I had to remember I better show you guys in case a lot of the designs software is pretty much the same. So yep, you're going to bring it to front, but I use like hotkeys like Control Z for undo or Shift Page up on my keyboard. And of course I'm going to add a little outline there. So that's one earring completed, and I'm going to duplicate it because of course most people have 2 ears. Well, not Van Gogh, but most people have 2 ears. And I'm just going to put a bounding box on that, take that to white, put an outline around that. And then I'm going to take that whole box because that's our engraving design, and this is going to be our cutting design here, and this is specifically for in LASERGRBL. So I'm going to take the outline, make that white, selected the earring hole itself too, brought that to the front. I'm going to do the exact same thing over on this right hand side design. And by duplicating it, that means everything is in its right placement. I use the exact same bounding box. So now this is my engraving file. I'm going to export this as a PNG, portable network graphic. I'm just going to replace that file there. So I'm going to use the solid color 300 DPI. And I am going to export my cut file. And solid color, 300 dpi, and export. And my ORTUR is working away there, so I thought I'd take a quick moment to show you the subscribers only page. There's a number of earring files for Halloween and other design files that I have uploaded, and these are all available for subscribers only. So if you look under the file tabs, you'll see all the files that are available to upload. Now I found under featured is where I'm going to be pinning the most recent file designs that you can see, because in the discussion, unfortunately, when I upload, it fills the whole discussion page with all my files that I'm uploading. So this way, if you go to featured, you'll be able to see what exactly has been uploaded a lot quicker. And this is the hardware that I do plan on ordering to complete my earrings that we're doing right now. Okay, let's just check back with the engraver, and I'm going to fast forward here. And we're almost to the very end. Woohoo! So my picture-on-picture isn't totally synced up with what I'm doing on the screen. It decided to fight me today, and I decided it was close enough in this little part here. So it's just finally finishing up. And when it gets to the home position, I will click the home button again before I open up the cut file. And I will also make sure that the origin button, that's the globe with the little red tab, isn't lit up at all. If it is, I make sure I home it, click that, so I have the homing position ready for when I click open the cut file. Now, something that I found is, because with the cutting I'm using the vectorizing, and LaserGRBL uses a default, so it remembers your engraving settings and where you had your origin set, and it does that as a vectorized too. So if you've cut something, before you exit out of a file, click the home, set your origin to 0, and this will help with you not getting negative offsets when you go to open up your next cut file. So my border speed is going to be 300. M3 is constant power. This is what you'll use for cutting. So I changed my S-min and my S-max to 850%. So this is how it traces, and this is going to cut out the outline. Now I went a little bit quicker on there because I had fast forward most of these videos, so this whole video wouldn't be too long. But I did turn off the optimized travel and the adaptive quality. So even it says in the info box for the optimized travel that it's supposed to be cutting the inside shapes first. In my last video with the cutting, remember how I questioned why wasn't it cutting the inside shapes? Well, it was because I had the optimize on. So basically optimize, it generalizes and optimizes your overall travels. So yeah, just click that off, because honestly I don't care about the bounding box falling down, and you'll see what I mean in a little bit in this video. I want those inside circles, all of that, to be cut first. So this is my first cut pass. Now I did dial my laser down just a little bit before I started cutting, and if you're going through thicker material, of course you'd dial it down a little bit more as well. So you'll see my machine is actually just up on 2x4s right now, and with my window grate, and I've got the scrap, like I said, raised a little bit on just small metal squares. The magnets are holding it there, and then underneath I just have a bamboo cutting board, and that's because eventually my laser is going to start going through the material, and this will just keep my table pretty. So for each subsequent pass that I'm going to be making, each time I go to cut, I always press the home button to make sure the machine is at 00 before I press play. And I'm actually going to be doing 4 passes. And on the first one, you didn't see too much blue light penetrating the wood, or too much smoke. This, I believe, is the second pass, so it's already starting to go through on the second pass there in some areas. You'll start seeing some blue flashes, and so I'm just going to pop in a recording there. You can see me doing that with my phone there. There we go. We're starting to see some blue flashes that you are definitely starting to get to the material. So I think this was my third pass here. I was starting to get through the material better. And of course, with my fourth pass there, I'm definitely getting through the material. And just when you see the blue light kind of dissipate, that's just because it's going over the window grate itself. So your recap for your cutting is focus and power off whenever you're moving the machine around. You can generate static electricity. So if you don't have homing switches, you have to definitely manually bring it to home. Definitely always make sure you frame your work and press home before you press play on anything. And have your sliders ready in case you need to up the power or decrease the power. Air exhaust and air assist is a must. In this video's description, I will make sure I put the number of the video that I did, which goes more into the glasses you should have, the exhaust you should have, the air pump that you can use, and where you can get your nozzles and extra attachments that you may need. Now, my video number 12, how to engrave and cut in LASERGRBL with my ORTUR LM2 Pro, is a little bit slower going. Like I said, this video is jam-packed. And of course, if you're just beginning to get into LASERGRBL and laser engraving, check out video number 7. That's getting started in LASERGRBL. It's a free laser engraving software, and it goes into more detail about more of your buttons and its functions. So yes, we're moving on now. I found the lost footage there of me actually dialing my laser down, but you can't see it because my arm's in the way. So yes, I have the Z height adjuster there. I dialed it down just a little bit before cutting, and of course if I had thicker material, I would dial it down just a little bit more. You don't want it too out of focus though, you're going to get some funny lines. So yeah, just dial it down. And as I mentioned before, I turned off the optimized buttons so the inside objects would cut first. And basically, I'm just fast forwarding through this video here because I wanted to show you what the cut. See, the little holes will go first. I'm doing the outline of the earrings because these are the most important pieces, of course. And I'm not that concerned about the bounding box. So because I have that little gap with the metal, you're going to actually see the earrings fall down just a little bit. And this helps you so you know you've definitely cut through your material. A lot of people accidentally pick up their material to try and see if they've cut through enough, and you haven't. Well, you've wasted all that time. You have your engraving and cutting because you haven't quite made it through enough. Now, some people have used cameras underneath, getting those trench cameras, having those underneath to see if you're cutting enough. Hey, just have it raised a little bit, and when you, in a second here, you're going to see it fall down. You know you've definitely gone through it. Okay, so this is my fourth and final pass. So again, be ready to stop your machine by using the stop button. You will have a few second delay, or you can use the e-stop as well. Just in a few seconds, you're going to see it drop down. Okay, maybe this is my third pass. Oh, that's my fourth. If you just saw it just drop down there. It's doing the bounding box, which I don't need to waste any more time doing that, so I've just shut it off. Okay, so here's a nice clear shot. Turning my machine off before I move it out of the way. I'm going to take my magnets off. And that'll just stick nicely back to the metal grate there. And I pick it up and see how crisp and clean that is? There you go. I know I've definitely got my earrings cut. So I'm going to take my finger. I don't know if my fingers were actually dirty beforehand, but the settings that I was using, it's very minimal charring. And I am just going to give those a sand. I'm going to fast forward it. Look how fast I go. So just using your fingers, try to keep your sandpaper as flat as possible so you're not sanding out what you've engraved. But this is really going to make your design pop, because you could actually just give these earrings now a clear coat and go with that style if you wanted. And I've just got a paintbrush. I'm just going to brush that out. I didn't use the ladybugs on this because they're a finer engraving, so you can see the difference between the first one that I've sanded and the other one I didn't sand. So, and finally we get to play and get our hands all dirty. So I'm going to prime my paintbrush. I'm using the acrylic craft paint, and I'm going to start with black, and I'm going to brush that in, but I'm going to go over it because I don't want the grooves filled too much. And yeah, so I'm definitely going to brush it back and forth and just basically get into the engraving enough. But yeah, definitely do not fill those grooves. Move that paint back and forth. You're going to see why exactly I do this and why I engraved at 1900 millimeters per second at the 850% power. And right now I'm just using a cosmetic sponge. So you dab it a little bit into the paint, dab the excess off on the plate. And this is why I engraved at 1900, because it's deep enough that I can just use a sponge. So I'm just going to go over it with a second coat. Although with the first coat, it kind of gave it a blackboard effect. So yeah, of course you can use that effect as well when you're painting them. And now I'm going to be doing some color fading. So I'm just starting with the purple, and you can cut down your cosmetic sponges to size. Now you want to make sure you're using the flattest edge of the cosmetic sponge. Sometimes the very end can be a little bit wonky, but the sides, they're always flat. So yeah, cut them down to size. It's very cheap, inexpensive, and a very clean way to paint. So I've gone from purple to my yellow. I'm going to start going in with some reds in a second here too. Now I have fast forwarded this. I'm not really this quick. So when you're using the color fades, so you'll dab most of the paint to the bottom and then work your way up when you have the lightest bit of paint on your sponge, as you can see. And yeah, that's going to give the ombre effect there. So then I'll go in with the yellow, and I'll go back in with the purple, and I'm going to fast forward it through here so you don't have to watch me fussing about. Maybe I think I might have a little bit of OCD. I don't know. We're going to come back when I'm happy with it. Okay, so magnifying glasses with a light. These guys are so handy, because now I'm just going to go in and give my little earring here a little more detail. So you can see I'm using a very fine brush. I prime it with the water as well. When I'm moving in the brush as well, you'll see me rolling the brush, taking the excess paint off, which is reshaping the brush. So that will let me be able to get into the finer points right where I want to go. And I'm just putting some finishing details on the cauldron with some slime green paint. And here we are all ready to clear coat. So I do have an exhaust fan, and I've covered anything that I do not want overspray on. Now I've just used an egg carton, wax paper, and toothpicks to poke it through the earring holes, and this will hold my earring still while I'm giving it a clear coat. And I am just using the Trumclad gloss. I have used Rust-Oleum clear in the past as well, but it's hard to find right now. If you're going to be using any clear that you haven't tried before, make sure you test it on a spare piece that you've painted to make sure it doesn't react to your paint that you've used. Now, unfortunately, my can is almost empty here, so that is why I'm kind of shaking the can to get the rest of the clear out of the bottom, using up all that I've got. I do not recommend, don't clear your stuff this way. You should be going in nice even coats, nozzle up, nozzle down, but because my can's empty, that's why I had to do it. So yeah, let's do a close-up here. So this is the Hocus Pocus one. You saw that we were painting 1900 millimeters per second. Now the rest of these were done at 2300 millimeters per second. They didn't turn out too bad, but they were a little more difficult to sponge paint. And of course I sanded them to kind of give them, a worn look. And I decided to make this skeleton an individual. And I pictured the ghost on the right hand side is mad at the one on the left hand side for putting the white sheets in with the coloreds when doing the laundry. So my expansion kit has arrived. There'll be an upcoming video. Also some of my projects here. This is a box that I made for my daughter. Now it only has the one coat of clear coat on it yet, so in the video you'll definitely see the difference with the after I give it some more clear coats. And of course I've got some welcome signs 2.0 coming up that I'm working on right now. And finally, please subscribe. As you can see, Kai's gotten into the hubby's wobbly pop. So please subscribe so we can get her the help that she needs. I'm totally kidding about that. So, thank you for joining me today. Now, go create!